Welcome to Purple Acorn Live at SHRM 25, and this is presented to you by VirgilHR, and I have special guests that I've interviewed on the Purple Acorn Network before. Joey Price, who is the CEO of Jumpstart HR, and also is the author, and everyone should go cop this, The Power of HR, that was released 2-3 months ago in March, I believe, right?
March, yeah, that's right.
Welcome to the show, Joey.
Hey, Serge, I'm glad to be here. And I know it's an authentic relationship because you asked me back. So I'm glad to be here and just catch up, man. Let you know how things have been going. We're at this wonderful conference.
Yeah, I'm really curious because this is actually my first SHRM. Is it your first SHRM?
No, it is not. No,
Okay,
it's not.
I'm assuming you've done a bunch, but
Yeah.
like, what's been the vibe? What's your feeling of this show here in San Diego?
Sometimes I forget the sheer magnitude of this annual conference. Obviously, you and I, we participate and attend at other conferences, and they're all amazing. I think what this conference does really well is there's such a pool of people from everywhere, from every industry, from every stage of the HR profession. And so it truly is. One person joked and said it was the mecca of HR conferences.
It is.
In many ways, it is. So I think that just the sheer scale of it has been both impressive and refreshing at the same time.
I love that word, mecca of HR conference, because I've been to all of them, or it seems like I've been to all of them, and I had never attended SHRM, and I was completely blown away by the people. There's 21,000 registered, plus just the scope of the expo floor, so many companies I've never heard of. But I'm curious, like, when you're approaching shows like this, obviously you have a consultancy, you work with both HR professionals, but also through Aspect 43, you're an analyst to HR tech companies. What's your approach? Like, how should you prepare for a conference like this as say, a vendor, or you're coming in here to talk to HR folks?
Yeah, great question. So if I were giving advice to a vendor who was coming to this conference, I would tell them to remember who you're in business for. And you're in business you're in business because of every single person that's walking through this expo hall, attending sessions, is because they have problems that you solve. And you want to stand out to be the brand that they buy from.
Interesting.
And so never lose sight of this being such a great space to get, whether it's feedback or insight, market research, or just to see, what do HR people look like when they let their hair down? What does happy hour look like when it's a bunch of HR pros and they're not wild. Gosh, they're so wild. There's things I can't say on this podcast that I've seen. But I would say vendors, hey, remember that you're in it to serve people, and the way that you serve people, the byproduct of that is your company's success. They'll buy from you, they'll invest in you, they'll stay with you, they'll give you positive feedback to shape your product.
Yeah.
So never lose sight that you're in it for the people that attend conferences like this.
It's funny you say that because obviously everyone talks about AI all the time. And I think we tend to forget the human element. And when you start attending these conferences, the connections you made, like we met on the show, but we met through conference in person.
Yep.
And there's just that connection that you can make person to person that AI can't really do anything about. But what's your perception there? Like, when you're coming to these shows and you're seeing these happy hours, you're seeing people just talking around, do you feel, this feels like it's the core of HR, right?
It is.
Like, but what's your thoughts there? Like, how do you feel about human connection compared to what we're talking about with AI?
Okay, I'll give you a few stories because as we said, my book is here. It's in the SHRM store. And literally there are only like 8 copies left because they've sold through most of the books.
And you had like 5,000 here, and there's only 8 copies.
I had quite a bit here. And so I've been telling the staff, like, hey, the shelves get a little low. I need you to run back and get some. I had a book signing. I want to make sure people had the book in time for the signings. But when I was talking with the individuals who were looking at all of the options on the shelf, picking mine up, reviewing it, and chatting with me about my book, it took the idea and perception of who is a typical person in HR focused on on the challenge, and it made it very real for me.
Interesting.
So there was a gentleman that I met. He's a retired Air Force veteran. He retired from a position at the EEOC, but he was there with his wife, and they were looking at my book, and he said, "I'm here for AI." He said, "I need to learn all that I can about AI and how it shows up at work." And like, I would have never expected to meet this gentleman or his wife or get their persona from an algorithm. But because I'm in the room at the SHRM store and I can talk and see, oh, this is the kind of person that's interested in AI and HR. This is the type of person who would be interested in learning more about how technology is solving his problems, whether he's retired and doing it just because he's interested or because he's doing it because he still has relationships with the local SHRM chapter where he's from. So it's just an amazing opportunity to come and meet the true faces behind those data points that we have in our spreadsheets.
Yeah, I love how you describe that. And those personal stories are what these types of conferences are all about. This is probably your first conference since the acquisition of Aspect 43, or it might be your second one, but the first SHRM.
For sure.
And what's your thoughts there? Because I think we talked a little bit before the show saying analysts don't really like coming to these shows for some reason. But what's your take? Why should HR analysts come to these types of shows?
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't speak for every analyst, but I can speak for Aspect 43 and the heart of our research is buyer perspective.
Okay.
So I need to be here because this is where the buyers are. And I'm not selling anything to them, right? I'm just capturing stories and building relationships so that I can understand, hey, what's your experience when you're buying talent acquisition technology? What do you like about the sales process? What are some of your top vendors that you've used or that you recommend? I've met others who come and they say, hey, I'm using this one product, but I got invited to a dinner of another company. And I was like, oh, well, are you going to attend? Yeah, because I'm thinking about switching. Oh, that leads me into a conversation into why are you considering switching? What is it about what they do that your current vendor is not doing? And so as an executive who cares as much about the quantitative data that we can generate through our research, it's also important to set North Stars and vision for who we research for and the research we tap into by getting those stories of the individuals who attend conferences and have their own human reasons for why they make decisions. I need to be tapping into that as an analyst who cares about buyer perspective.
Well, if you think about it, it's really hard to get that type of information when you're not here or not in that setting, right? Because people will share information over Zoom or Google Meets, but not the same amount that you're meeting them at a restaurant at a happy hour and they're talking about their particular challenges and what companies they're working for. So I really do like that. But what do you look for when you're going through this massive floor of different HR tech vendors? Like, is there anything that's really piquing your interest right now of what's going on in the space or type of companies that are popping up?
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but obviously everyone's focus is on AI. When I'm walking through the expo floor, I'm looking at how well do you articulate the buying case for AI to your customer.
Okay.
So not, hey, we have this shiny AI capability, but how is it showing up in real time with your products? And maybe what are some of the use cases that you've seen from customers that make it obvious and appealing to a potential buyer that, hey, maybe we should get a demo, or maybe we should consider switching, or, oh, we already have that product and I didn't even know that it could do that, right? So I'm looking for that because Tammy and I, we've been on a roadshow this year, and one of the things that we've been researching through some real-time feedback in our sessions is how well do you know HR and how it impacts your job? And then how well can you teach another person to do HR in your job? And we're not really ready to release the data just yet, but I can tell you that there's a significant deficiency in people's confidence of what AI can do and how they can help others learn tools. So I am laser focused on who seems to be the most human-friendly or user-friendly use case of artificial intelligence, because that's where the true adoption and buyer stickiness happens, is when people actually know that they can love and understand your product.
So really good point. And one of the things that just talked to different reps is question I'll ask is before you even go into the features or what you're trying to accomplish, like what problem are you trying to solve? And I think that's being lost a little bit.
Yeah.
We're over focusing and some of those problems might be automation instead, might not be AI, but AI could be the solution to it. What's your take there? Like as far as let's say that you have a boot here, you have a product. What's your advice to those folks working those booths as they're speaking to people?
Well, just understanding the behind the scenes of it all. Some of the booths are represented by authentic members of the staff, and then some are obviously contracted out talent. But no matter what, you have to know your messaging, and you have to know why you are of benefit to the person who's possibly buying your product. An example would be, hey, yes, you have AI. Yes, it helps with automation and delegation, but are you telling that to someone who's afraid that AI might take their job? Or they're afraid that AI may take them from full-time to part-time? So how do you wrap your messaging in such a way that shows that AI is the ally and not the replacement? That's the major messaging point that I would give to a vendor who wants real traction and confidence from their buyer.
So I'm going to ask you that question. Is AI being built to replace people or to assist people?
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
And it depends on the use case. But what I tell HR leaders when I'm in front of them about why they should be acquiring as much technology and education about technology is that you've got to look at artificial intelligence as the Iron Man suit. And you've got to look at it, hey, based on the team that we have today, how do we get stronger and produce better business outcomes for our organization? As opposed to, hey, how do I go from 5 TA leaders to 3? Right? I try to look at it as a value add and a capacity build, and not so much augmentation. Although that's happening in real time too, so we can't ignore it. But that's just kind of my suggestion is look at capacity building.
Let's talk about your book, The Power of HR.
Yeah.
So it's been very successful.
Yes.
It's been successful at this show, but it's been successful leading up to when it was launched in March. Like, what is the core message from your book that someone reading it should come out with?
The core message for the reader of The Power of HR is that it is incredibly important for you as an HR leader to not be left behind in executive conversations because you don't understand how your day-to-day activities matter to the business, how they matter financially, how they matter strategically, how they matter from a brand public relations standpoint. And so in each of the different chapters, I try to cover the basis of the understanding of the topic, but elevate it to that strategic level. And you've read the book, so you know you can hold me accountable to this. But like, how do you ensure that when you're sitting in front of the CEO and you've got to talk about what you've done last month, you can do it in a way that resonates with him, but then also when you've got the town hall with the employees, you can talk about what you've done to resonate with them. So it's all about just that impact that you have and tapping into that next level as a HR business leader.
So we talked a little bit when you appeared at the show, the experience of being an author. And I think I've had that dream, but I'm like, can I actually do it?
Yeah.
Do I have the discipline to be able to write so much? And then can I go through the editing process? Curious, like let's start when I'm going to write a book.
Okay.
What has that process look like from A to Z, as quickly as we can?
As quickly as we can. Okay, so I'll skip through the research part, but there are 2 tracks. You can go self-publishing or you can go through a traditional publisher. I had the privilege of being a part of a Kogan Page, which is a traditional publisher, known in the business community and the academic community. So I had to submit a proposal, but I had to write a proposal that was coherent and met the business case of the books that they wanted to invest in. So I wrote the proposal. Then the proposal gets voted on by a board or a committee, and then they come back and say, Joey, we're interested. Here's a contract. And oh, by the way, you have like 9 months to write the book. So I would say for anyone who's interested, don't write your book yet. because something about it will likely change if
Okay.
you are going to go the traditional publishing route.
Okay.
But if you want to go self-publishing, then write whatever you want.
I love it. So everyone should get the book, The Power of
That's right.
HR.
Yes.
On that end, so you're here for another couple of days?
I'm here for another couple days. I don't think the book is, because it looks like
Selling
it's sold
out.
out. Yeah, but I'll be around. Thankfully, I don't have any more speaking obligations, so I'll probably be on the expo floor,
Perfect.
talking with vendors, in the SHRM store, seeing what books are top of mind for the business leaders that are here, and of course, I'll be at a couple happy hours.
Yeah,
You know
of
that.
course.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's the easiest way to find Joey Price?
Easiest way, find me on LinkedIn, Joey Price. It's not hard to find me. And then you can also just find me on most socials at Joey V Price HR.
You're the man, Joey. Really appreciate you
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me back. This was great.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Perfect. That's Purple Acorn live from SHRM 2025, brought to you by VirgilHR.